Welcome to Rhythm, a journey to empower the youth through well being and self discovery.
Namaste, Swamiji. How are you?
Namaste, Sheena and Pranav. I'm well. It's getting summer is coming. It's a bit hot now.
Yes.
Everyone is going on a leave, and it's good
Yes.
to see that you are all now available after your studies, and we are doing this podcast. Nice.
Yes.
Yes. Um, in the last episode, we discussed how consciousness and its properties are empowering to the youth.
Swamiji, you mentioned about a parable to illustrate the power of the concept of an inner consciousness. Could you please tell us this parable?
Yes, our ancient teachers devised wonderful ways to share this knowledge. In the last episode, when you talked about consciousness, it was all very abstract, big words, and we form some intellectual idea, but we really can't put our finger in that. It sort of escapes there. So you'll find these great teachers who will always make things easier to understand, and that sometimes employ the tools of telling through stories because we will remember the story, and in
Yeah.
the story, we'll then remind ourselves of the meaning of it. Okay. So there's a beautiful parable about this lion and a sheep. So the story goes in some country far away, there was a forest, and at the edge of the forest, there was a sheep farmer, a shepherd, who in those days would take his flock of sheep for grazing in the day, So you can imagine up in the mountains, a flock of sheep accompanied by the shepherd. They're out there. And one day, out of that forest, a lion appeared. He was hungry, he was looking for something to eat, and he saw this flock of sheep. And uh, so he naturally wanted to catch one hold of one of them, and he attacked. Actually, it's a lioness. Okay, so it's a lioness, and she attacked this flock of sheep, but she was pregnant with a cub. And in that stress, while she was jumping over a ravine, a creek, and she fell down, and she, well, gave a birth to a little beautiful cub, but she died. So this the shepherd who saw all these things, he picked up that little cub. He was a very kind, compassionate man. He said, "Let me try to save this little animal." So he took it home and started feeding it the milk of the sheep. That's what he had. And so this little cub now is drinking the sheep's milk and is moving around them with the rest of the flock. And in time, it grew up and it's learning from what it's seeing outside. He sees sheep everywhere, and they're going out and grazing grass. So he accompanies them every day out into the forest, eating grass. He's bleating like the sheep, is behaving in every way as a sheep, as a lamb. And in time, it grew up into a big lion, looking like a lion, but it didn't have a mirror to see itself. So he thinks he's a sheep. He behaves like a sheep. He's very comfortable with the sheep in everything, in every way. He's like a sheep. So one fine day, the shepherd was up again in the forest, grazing his flock of sheep, including this, we call this lion sheep, so to say. And on that day again, out of a forest, a lion was again looking for something to hunt, big, ferocious lion, and he wanted to catch hold of a sheep, and he approached the flock, and he saw in the midst of all the sheep, there was a lion. He was totally amazed. He said, "What is this lion doing in there?" And he saw, noticed that this lion is eating grass and is bleating like the sheep and behaving everywhere. The lion, the forest jungle lion, he totally forgot about his hunger. He said, "What's this?" And he said, "This, he's a lion. He's behaving like a sheep. He doesn't know. Let me remind him."
Mhm.
So when this little sheep lion was taking a rest, the jungle lion jumped upon him, caught hold of him, and you can imagine the commotion. "Yeah, please let me go. Don't kill me." And all those is begging and pleading, all those pleading to be left alone. And the jungle lion said, "Stop this nonsense. You're not a sheep. Why are you behaving like that? You're a lion, you know. And the guy says, no, 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 I'm a sheep. Please let me go. Again, he's pleading. So the jungle lion understood there's something wrong with this fellow. He doesn't know that he's a lion. That's why he's behaving like a sheep. And how do I teach him that he's a lion? So he dragged him to the edge of a pond and asked him to look at his reflection. Look at your face there. What do you see there? Now he turned him around and said, look at me. And that sheep lion looked at the face of the lion in the reflection and he looked at this jungle lion. They resembled and said, oh, I look like more like this fellow, jungle lion than the sheep. But such is the conditioning of his upbringing for so many years that all those thoughts and the old ideas came and said, oh, again, please let me go, don't kill me in this and that. So the sheep jungle lion said, oh, this is a serious problem here. It's a chronic problem. I have to do more than this. So he said, why do you, eat grass? That's not the food of a lion. You come, I'll give you something, a piece of meat, So he grabbed hold of a piece of meat and gave it to this lion to eat pushed in his mouth. There's a little bit of protest there also, say I'm a vegetarian and all that. And then he tasted the meat and he relished it. It tasted good. And with that, a little bit more recognition came that he is not the sheep, he's a lion. And then the jungle lion said to him, give up this bleating like a sheep. That's not the sound of a lion. The lion rose and he gave a mighty roar. And he said, you also try. And the sheep lion also tried. And suddenly out of his throat, this mighty roar of a lion came. And then, step by step, the realization came that it was not really a sheep, but it was a lion. He felt very, very ashamed about himself. All this life he was behaving like a sheep, full of fear and all that. And so he left the flock and accompanied the jungle lion, and off they went into the forest because the lion is the king of the jungle. Is free and fearless. So this is the parable. Okay, there's so much meaning behind in the story. Okay, and let's explore that, you see. So when that the lion was behaving like a sheep, that is called ignorance. He's not aware of his true nature. Likewise, we are that consciousness, that eternal being, that infinite ocean, but we are behaving like the little wave, little individual, conditioned by our upbringing and education and what everyone is telling us. Somehow we begin to think that's what we are, isn't it? But we are something much more than that. Now, when that is told to us that you are the Atman, you're eternal and immortal, that does not immediately bring about a realization. Okay, one has to go through the process. In this particular case,
just like the lion.
Yeah, in this particular case, he could have died like a sheep, believing it was a sheep. Many people do that. They're born, they think we have the body and the mind, and they die like that. But it's a great fortune when they come across a spiritual teacher like the jungle lion, who takes the trouble to enlighten him about his true nature. Okay.
Wow,
So
this is so interesting.
yeah, if you don't have that, we can just carry on. He would have died like a sheep, like,
Yeah.
in the ignorance, miserable.
Yeah.
So it's very important to come across or seek a teacher who knows about this.
Yeah,
And
I
the
think we're
task,
doing a great job in this podcast to, I guess, bring out our spiritual side and not be ignorant like that sheep lion.
yeah, we want to remind ourselves we have got that, we are really the lion. See, the interesting thing about this is that even though it believed it was a sheep, it really did not become the sheep, isn't it?
Yes.
It was in his mind, in his ignorance. That was an ignorance in his mind. Therefore, we are always that consciousness, even now, but only that ignorance is covering, and we are behaving like the sheep, like a human being with all its limitations. So the process is not. It's not just that the lion came and said, "Hey, you are the lion," and he got enlightened immediately. You see, there was a process, step by step,
Yes.
and that process meant first he had to show him the face, a little bit recognition came. Then it gave him a taste of the meat. A little bit more recognition came. And then he asked him to roar like a lion. A little bit more recognition came.
It's slow and steady steps.
So one has to go through the process,
Yeah.
and that knowledge then is being uncovered. And in that process, as the lion nature gets known more and more and more, the sheep nature disappears. He does not, at the end of the whole process, he doesn't feel I'm the sheep anymore. Actually, he feels very, very, sheepish about it. Oh my God, all my life I was thinking I'm a sheep, but really I'm not a sheep. But with that knowledge of its true nature, the lion nature, all fear disappears. Tremendous amount of strength comes. And that is what this knowledge of the Atman or the soul or consciousness brings to us.
Wow.
So the moral of the story is, let's explore what is this beautiful story. See how intelligent and wonderfully they try to capture that abstract idea of our higher self, the consciousness or the Atman. And they illustrate through a parable. And you'll remember the parable, and every time, but you have to explore the deeper meaning behind all those things. So in our everyday life, when we say we are behaving like a sheep, what does that mean? Okay.
Could mean like maybe like not doing something that like not maybe you're afraid of like speaking out in public, maybe public speaking, and you don't believe that you have what it takes to you don't have that courage to speak in public, but you don't have to be that sheep. You can be that lion and do it instead and try and change your perspective and try
Yes.
and gain that courage to do it.
So every time we feel weak, we feel afraid. That is the sheep nature manifesting in us. Okay. And if we remind ourselves that really I'm not the sheep, I'm the lion, then within us that confidence and the courage comes. Okay. And that faith in ourselves ultimately makes us roar like the lion.
But it's all the mentality, right? It's like what you think. If you
Yes.
think well, then you do well.
Yeah. So what was the problem with the sheep line? It was thinking all the time that it was a sheep. And when that thinking was changed, its perspective was changed, then it's thinking differently. I'm the
So
lion.
basically, it limited its thinking to only thinking like a
Yes.
sheep, but it can go more above and be a lion.
Yes. So when you look around, all our education or all training actually makes us this sheep. What is that sheep? I'm a human being. I'm limited. I have to depend on these five senses to explore the physical body, the world. I'm a body, I'm a mind. What is the line? I am that consciousness. I'm eternal. I'm immortal. I'm pure. I'm perfect. I'm the very embodiment of all knowledge and bliss and all wonderful things that we normally try to superimpose and say there's a God out there having all those things. Okay, God is eternal, is immortal, is pure, it's perfect, it's omniscient, it's omnipotent, blah, blah, blah. We attribute all these qualities to some external being out there. What Vedanta says, there's no God out there. The God that you are seeking is within us.
Right.
I am that divine being.
We're looking
How?
too much outside, but it's actually within us. It's ready,
Yes.
waiting for us to manifest.
Yes, and all of us are trying to manifest it in some degree. Some are doing a little bit more, some little less. But most of the time, we are trying to get somebody from outside to help us. There's no help outside. The help is within us. Okay, somebody can help us to remove that ignorance, like that jungle lion came. That's a spiritual teacher. He comes and again, works patiently and guides that person and say, my friend, you are not a sheep. We are not human beings, we are divine beings. So in Vedanta, we say we are all spiritual beings. That is our true nature. But we are having that human experience, which is our sheep nature. Okay, this human experience is a limited state. It has to stop. Only then we can manifest the higher power within us.
So instead of us being just human beings, we're divine beings. Is that what you're
We
saying?
we always are, were, and will be divine beings. The sheep, the lion was always a lion. Even in its ignorance, it was a lion,
Yeah.
isn't it? What happened? That ignorance is a mental conditioning. The mind is conditioned by upbringing. So if you keep on telling somebody all its has shortcomings, you're negative, you're useless, you're good for nothing, you're an idiot, and in time that person will behave like that because that's how the mind becomes conditioned. But if you tell anyone, you are wonderful, you are doing very well, you can do even better, and you see that type of encouragement brings out better qualities in the person. But if we tell that within us, behind us, is that infinite ocean of consciousness, how much we can manifest it, as much as you want, then you might say, well, can you give some examples of people who did that? Well, look around, What's the difference between one person and the other? It's that manifestation of the consciousness. Some are very, very intelligent, very, very sharp, very, very good in everything they do. And they're perfect examples of great souls like the Buddha, the Christ, Krishna, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, wonderful beings who look like a human being from outside, but manifested tremendous amount of energy and power for the good of the world. We all have that same potential within us. The same ocean is behind all the waves. And now and then some great waves like tidal waves come. And these are the great spiritual teachers. Okay. To inspire us and remind us about this wonderful power within us. You see how wonderful is this knowledge about Vedanta. We are not talking about some God out there in some sky. We're not talking about some ism, Hinduism, Buddhism, or we're not talking about some prophet. We're not talking about some book to believe in. All it says, believe in yourself. Believe in something beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the ego. Start with that, but don't simply say be stuck with that belief. We want to
something that's like inclusive of everyone, regardless of religion.
Yes, because it's one wave, one ocean behind all the waves, isn't it?
Yes.
And so the second idea behind this, we are connected to everyone. All the waves are connected via the ocean. And the whole world is ours. We're related to everyone spiritually. Cannot go and harm anyone without harming ourselves. Isn't it? These are the wonderful teachings. So Vedanta has got two pillars. One we have discussed today, which is our spiritual nature. We are all divine. Okay, which we illustrated through this story and in this concept of consciousness and all that. The second idea is that there is that one ocean behind all the waves. There's one being behind everyone. We are connected and interconnected with the whole universe. When we do good to others, we are doing good to ourselves. When we harm others, we harm ourselves. And that is the rationale behind why we need to be kind and compassionate and helpful and not harm others or do anything because we are all one. So these are the two basic concepts or pillars of Vedanta: divinity of the soul and oneness of existence. And what we want to share with this young generation, the people out there, is this knowledge that so much more beyond the tip of the iceberg that we are. It's good to know about this at a young age. Not only know about them, we want to find ways and means by which we can connect with that ocean and draw more energy out of it. And the more we draw, the greater we are, the less we'll behave like the sheep, the more we'll behave like the lion. Strength will come, power will come, glory will come, goodness will come when the sleeping lion inside is awakened. This is the teaching of Vivekananda. So this is what Vedanta is, and that's why young people love Vivekananda, because he inspires them with this wonderful knowledge. There's a beautiful quotation. He says, "Teach yourselves, teach everyone his real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come when the sleeping soul is roused to self-conscious activity." And we would like to share this knowledge with the young people, across the world, everywhere ever they are. Let them hear it, let them think about it, let them be empowered by it, and manifest that power for their own good and for the good of the world. This is the purpose. And we feel that when this knowledge comes in, then all those other little darknesses behaving like the sheep, which comes in the form of anxiety and stress and depression and all those things, they will all go away. Okay, this is bringing in the light of knowledge and the darkness goes. So yeah, it's nice to share with you this story, this
Yes.
parable, and discuss with you these wonderful teachings of Vedanta.
Yeah. Sweet. That was amazing. What a wonderful story. And it looks like there's a hidden line within all of us, but somehow we end up acting like sheep in the everyday challenges we face. Hopefully, we can overcome this through Vedanta and through more of your teachings, which we'll go through in the next episode.
I just one question that is there any techniques to connect and be more aware of this consciousness?
Definitely, our teachers did not just share the knowledge; they gave very practical people. They had designed and wonderful techniques by which we can discover that spiritual dimension of our being. The word discover is very, very meaningful. It means some covering is there. We remove that covering. So we are discovering our own self. Wonderful, isn't it? And that's
Yes.
why they teach these various yogas. Yoga means to join the wave to the ocean, join the individual to the infinite consciousness that we are. And it's got 4 yogas are there. The path of meditation is the Raj Yoga. Probably we can take that up and discuss about how we can use this technique of meditation to connect our mind, which is normally going outward, but we turn it around and connect it inward to our spiritual self.
Right.
And that is what is meditation about. And maybe we can discuss that in our next class about
Yes.
meditation. And then I can teach you a meditation technique. Okay,
Yes,
how
that would
to
be very helpful.
sit, how to breathe, how to turn the mind from the external world to your internal self, how to
Yeah.
visualize our spiritual self. And if you say, we are not just going to believe this, we challenge you to practice this. And then come back to us and say, how does this knowledge and practice change you? Is that
Right.
line waking? Is the line waking up or not? We want to awaken that line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Our
this
our listeners would be very happy to learn about this meditation and take up your challenge. Thank you for listening and thanks for your time, Swamiji.
Thank you
most
so
welcome.
much.
Yeah, I look forward to discussing the meditation techniques in the next episode.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.